You know, for a long time I felt very sorry for myself. Man, all these journalists riding the brand new Aprilia RS 660, and I didn't have a chance to do that when it first came out. But guess what, guys? It's in front of me here, it's in the flesh, and we're out in the real open roads. This motorcycle is comparably priced. It is a perfect budget motorcycle, super sport, for anybody who wants to get into riding motorcycles for the first time. And what you're going to find on this motorcycle are things such as the Aprilia Performance Ride Control, which is a fancy word for their inertial measurement unit system that the motorcycle has, and many MotoGP and fancy leader bikes have these days, but they've imported over to the 600, 660 class motorcycles of today. The Imu system on this motorcycle is responsible for things such as 3 levels of cornering ABS, 3 levels of traction control, it's got wheelie control. Now you have 2 different types of throttle responses on this motorcycle. One is made specifically for the street, which gives you 3 different levels, and then you have 2 different levels for the track. And that's pretty freaking slick. The 3 different riding modes that you have for the street are commute, dynamic, and user controls. And then the 2 levels that are for the track is challenge mode and time attack. But in the time attack mode, the LCD screen changes to a lap timer. Otherwise, the engine is a 659cc engine, parallel twin. 100 horsepower at 10,005 RPMs. So you get maximum torque of 49.4 at 8,500 RPM. But somewhere around the 4,000 RPM range is when most of the torque kicks in, so you don't really have to wring its neck out in order to feel all the power. I think now it's time for us to take this thing on the road and swing a leg over it, see what this thing feels like, because I heard so much about it, but now I want to know what it's like. Let's see what all the hype is about. The RS 660 from Aprilia. Hell yeah. Yeah. Upright position, I like it. So, right off the bat, first things first, it's a pretty vibraty bike. 2-cylinder engine, what you would expect. Nice throaty exhaust. Brembo master cylinder, we're already getting off to a good start here. So Aprilia claims the aggressiveness of this motorcycle is anywhere in between the Kawasaki 650 and the Yamaha R6. And I think they're on to something, because this motorcycle reminds me not exactly of the 650, but of the 6R 636. The seating position is very similar to that, in that I'm pretty comfortable and upright, but it's going to be a little bit more aggressive than the 636, obviously, because that's a full-on sport bike. But this one is just a little bit more comfortable than that, to be honest with you. So as you can expect, being a brand new motorcycle with all the electronics and gizmos, yes indeed it does have a quick shifter, and the quick shifter seems to be pretty smooth. Right now I'm doing about 3 to 4,000 RPM in second gear, and it seems to have pretty tall gears actually. Oh yeah, nice throaty exhaust once you give her the beans. Alright, so let's hook a right onto the highway, because the first part of this review is going to be riding on the highway, and then we're going to go on normal B roads and see what she's like. Man, I gotta say, this thing is so flickable. Wow, it feels so light and nimble. So this thing is pretty street friendly because it's got a super comfortable suspension system. Really, really comfortable. Like, if you're looking for a comfortable sport bike, this would be it. I don't know, is it considered to be a sport bike? I think it is. It's very upright. It's so upright, I almost don't want to call it a sport bike, but it actually is. It's a super sport. What else can you call this thing? I'm just so used to riding such aggressive motorcycles that it's kind of like confusing me. Not sure what to call this thing. For now, let's just call it a sport bike. This is something that I can ride for long distances. The handlebars are upright, the pegs are low, they're not very high and aggressive like my R6. or something that you would find in a Ducati Panigale, but I am feeling vibration, and the vibration, when you look at the front fascia, it is vibrating. But the good news is that the mirrors are not vibrating, because the mirrors, if they vibrated, that would be very difficult to see out of. So that's the good news. Plenty of torque in 6th gear, 6,000 RPM, and if I give this thing the full beans, it lags a little bit as if it's got a turbocharger, but then it's like a slingshot. Later on, when traffic clears up, we're going to see about putting it lower down in the RPMs, lower down in the gears, and giving her the beans, and let's see what she does. But otherwise, as far as highway comfort is concerned, the seat is super comfortable. It almost feels like a gel seat that I'm sitting on top of. The seat, brake, and position feels pretty flat on my bottom, and I don't feel like it's pushing me towards the front of the tank as if it wants me to go full-on tuck position like you will find in a Yamaha R6. The bike feels very modern. It has a lot of modern touches, like the LCD screen. It reminds me very much of the RS V4s, being somewhere north of 11,500. To have an LCD screen this big with the fuel level indicator, as well as all the electronics and the bells and whistles that you get with it, is pretty nice. Especially when you couple that with the Brembo brakes and the Brembo master cylinder on the brake side. You got a pretty well put together motorcycle. So at 77 miles an hour, I'm feeling a little bit of turbulence. I believe this windscreen is doing a good job buffering all the wind from my helmet, and I think this is the reason why it's vibrating so much. I would have liked it if the windscreen didn't vibrate as much, but it does. This is the full beans, getting wide open throttle. It does bog down a little bit. Let's see, 4th gear now. Let me give the guy in front of me some room. See what 4th gear will do at 6,000 RPM right now, giving her the full beans right now. Alright, so it bogs down and then takes off like a rocket. It likes being higher up in the rev range. Let's go down to 3rd. Let's see how she reacts. Alright, so it likes being high up in the rev range. It doesn't like being low in the rev range. At low in the rev range, it's going to bog down on you no matter where you are. So if you're going to ride this bike on a track or a performance-oriented situation, keep it high up there. Though Aprilia does say that at 4,000 RPM, you get the gamut of the torque, but I'm not sure at what speeds and in what gear they're talking about. But at highway speeds, you want to overtake cars, you can definitely do so in 6th gear, doing 80 miles an hour, because I'm in 6th gear, so it's not really a problem. Man, it is so comfortable to ride. Suspension is nice and plush. The seat is nice and soft and comfortable. The handlebars are high up. What more can you ask for when it comes to riding a sport bike? I don't know. And can you believe it? They're coming out with a Tuono version of this thing. The Tuono version is going to be even more comfortable. Alright, let's get off the highway and talk a little bit about the road mannerisms of this motorcycle. Oh yeah, the shifting is so smooth on this bike. Wow. This has got to have the most soft and most comfortable suspension I've experienced in a very long time. Wow. You're looking for a comfortable bike, my boys? This would be it. High handlebars, soft seat, plush suspension like you're sitting on an armchair. Damn. And it won 54 world titles. Well, not this bike, but you know what I mean. Good job, Aprilia. So, 34 miles an hour in 4th gear. And now I'm getting a lot of vibration on the windscreen. When you're riding it, ride it typically in higher rev ranges, but when you're low in the rev range, it doesn't like it. 6th gear right now doing 51 miles an hour. It doesn't like it either. Let's see. 4th gear, 50 miles an hour, it likes that better. So it doesn't want to be too high up in the gears. when you're doing less than 70 miles an hour. Keep that in mind if you ever buy this bike. Otherwise, this thing is a little gem. The thing I like mostly about motorcycles whenever I buy something for myself, not necessarily the power. The power doesn't come first for me, believe it or not. As you already know, I got a Yamaha R6 and I got a Street Triple RS. So obviously power is not number one for me. And believe me, my boys, I've ridden so many bikes in 1 year, and in the entire time I've been riding motorcycles, I've had access to everything. The most powerful motorcycle I've ever ridden was a 240 horsepower Ducati V4R Monster. And the smallest bike I've ever ridden was my KTM RC390. So I've experienced the gamut, so I already know what's good and what's not. So for me at this point in my motorcycle riding career, if you want to call it a career, is having a motorcycle that is lightweight. I absolutely love lightweight motorcycles, and let me tell you why. They're easily flickable. It doesn't get you as tired because you can ride it longer distances and not feel tired. It's going to be faster without having a bigger engine. Just think about it. And on top of whatever I mentioned before, the other bonus is that it's more economical. You can save more on gas. And this is what I like about this motorcycle. It's lightweight, it's economical, it doesn't cost that much. It's got the perfect amount of power. And so for someone who's got 6 months or more of riding experience, something like this is absolutely perfect. Here in the United States, if you get a brand new license, you can go buy a liter bike if you wanted to. It doesn't always make it the right thing to do. But that being said, this is the perfect motorcycle to get for someone who's got a little bit of experience under their belt, because the throttle response is absolutely perfect for the road, and it's got so many electronics that are very helpful for the first-time rider, like traction control, an Imu system, cornering ABS. Like ABS and traction control are some of the best things you can have on a motorcycle, but when you add an IMU to it, which is an inertial measurement unit for cornering, that's on a different level right there, because you could be going super fast around a corner and then slam on your brakes and this thing is not going to wipe out on you. Well, hold on, let me take that back. To an extent, to a degree, it won't wipe out on you. It doesn't guarantee it, because obviously it doesn't have 4 wheels, it only has 2 wheels. But you get what I'm saying. It is not 100% guaranteed, but it's better than having a traditional traction control system into it. And then other things such as wheelie control, which on this motorcycle, I don't even think that it needs it, because you can give this thing the full beans, 100% wide open throttle from first gear to all the way to whatever. And I really don't think it'll pull a power wheelie on you. So you get a lot of technology on this motorcycle, and it is a bargain, to be honest with you. Yep, she's got a lot of power, man. That was wide open throttle right there. I mean, it's not exactly a ton of power, but for a first timer riding a motorcycle with 6 months to a year of experience, this is a rocket. Damn. I'm still shocked that despite having a 2-cylinder engine, the quick shifter on this thing is as smooth as it is. Once in a while, it's a little bit rough, but I would say 90% of the time, it's a pretty smooth upshift and a downshift. Now, if you remember my F900R back in the, I don't know, I'd say back in the day, but it was only, what, 6 months ago? Something like that. But that had a very, very rough shift going up and down. And I got rid of that bike really quickly. That was one of the main reasons why I sold that. And everybody was telling me, well, you know, you got to be high up in the RPMs and blah, blah, blah. Nope. That's not the case at all. If you have a well-built motorcycle, that's not going to happen. And I think this is a pretty well-built motorcycle. Aprilia has taken all their knowledge of racing and then ported it over to something for an intermediate rider. And I think they've done a fantastic job doing it. So guys, if you're enjoying this review up until now is the time that you hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Because guess what? My Yamaha R6 is going to be compared to this motorcycle. A lot of you guys are wondering and scratching your heads, There's a ZX6R and a Yamaha R6 around the same price. Which one should I buy? So that video is made for you guys. And I know it's not a direct one-to-one comparison because they're different power, different everything pretty much, but it is on your list of motorcycles that you're interested in getting, so I do want to compare it for you guys. So make sure you, once again, to hit that like button and subscribe. That video is coming after this one. Overall, I think Aprilia has done a fantastic job with this motorcycle, man. You get this crazy, funky design that is so sporty looking and racy looking with the air ducts that you normally would get on leader bikes. This one has. So it's very aerodynamic, very slippery. Overall, I think it's a fantastic looking bike, just as well as it performs. I would love for the opportunity to take this motorcycle and track it. So hopefully one day I can get my hands on something like this for the track, because this looks like it would be a lot of fun and I want to test to see what it's going to be like. Fit and finish and quality of this thing is fantastic. It actually feels like a motorcycle that would be a lot more expensive when you're sitting on it and when you're riding it. It has a matte finish tank. The graphics are not painted on, but it feels like they're decals. But otherwise, it's got a beautiful looking front fascia. Absolutely gorgeous looking. Hashtag be a racer. So it's asking to be taken to the track. It's got Aprilia Racing on the bottom. It's begging to be taken to the track and spanked. Please do me a favor and join me for the R6 versus RS 660 comparison video coming right up after this video. And until then, I will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Ciao for now.